It really was an interesting political event, was it not?
Paul, I think interesting is an understatement. Fall River, yet again, is going to have another recall election. The first one was in 2014 when Mayor Flanagan was recalled, the first mayor in Massachusetts history to be recalled. So we may have the second one all in the city of Fall River.
The first question right out of the gate, the issue of trust. And it really was an opportunity for people to jump in there and kind of tackle that issue, but I'm not really sure that there was any knockout punches. What do you think?
No, there were not any knockout punches, but I'm not certain that there really needed to be. Mayor Carrere is actually facing 13 indictments: mail fraud, tax evasion, and improper use of investors' monies in a program that he developed before he became mayor. And clearly, as you said, it was the elephant in the room.
I think one of the candidates, Mr. Kamara, came right out and said, hey, look, I've been in politics for years. I'm trustworthy.
I've never broken a promise to people. I've made a lot of promises. A lot of the things that I've accomplished in this community is because people know they can come to me and tell me what they want to tell me, and I've never broken their trust.
Mr. Coogan talked about this website that Mayor Carrere had put up this website almost as a retribution. So that was something that he was taking a pretty good swing at the mayor there, I thought.
When he said he didn't do anything untrustworthy while he was mayor, I believe creating a fake website to go after a reporter that he admitted to doing, which I have never done anything like that, puts me in a different class than him. I would never create a fake website or use any type of political get-backs to get anybody.
There was a website developed by supporters of the mayor and perhaps even the mayor himself that was very critical of a member of the Fourth Estate, as we call journalists like yourself. But again, when you're facing a 13-count indictment in federal court, I don't really know that your opponents need to talk about more than that.
Health department was reorganized, and Mike Aguiar, a close friend and mentor of his, was appointed to be the substance use coordinator and went to New York to a 5-star hotel. I will not be moving the city forward just for my friends, for my campaign supporters. I will not be handing out $10,000 snow stipends for 3 days of work. I will not be giving $3,000 to my good friend and mentor to go stay at the Ritz-Carlton.
So that was a little bit of a swing that she was taking at Jazel.
Erica Scott Pacheco, who is the only candidate on the stage the other night who not only has not ever held political office, but has not ever run for political office, and the only female in the race, did, I thought, get some mileage out of that comment about a staffer in the mayor's office who seemingly could not find a hotel less than $500 a night.
So the mayor's position on trust was, hey, I said I was going to get rid of the trash fee, and I got rid of the trash fee.
That takes a lot of trust. They got to trust me that if I say, hey, you know what, we're going to eliminate this fee, that we're going to have the money to keep their jobs. So it was an extremely important balance for me as the mayor, especially a young mayor coming in at 23 years old. I know I had to prove myself to the public, but I had to prove myself to our city employees.
Erica Scott Pacheco said, well, yeah, that's true. It was like an 11th hour move, and then on top of that, you raise taxes somewhere else. So I guess if you add the math up, maybe she's making a point there. I don't know.
Well, if you look at just the first 3 months when he was mayor, 3/31/16, he increased the sewer user fee and the water user fee.
It was a well-positioned comment by Erica Scott Pacheco. But again, the elephant in the room is you have a mayor who, while handcuffed, was transported to U.S. District Court by the United States Marshal Service. That is the issue.
We haven't talked about Kyle Riley. He seemed to be emphasizing his education career, how he earned the trust of the parents, and, what he's done education-wise. That seemed to be his theme.
I got my education here in Massachusetts. 2 different schools, UMass Dartmouth, Suffolk University, and then for my master's, Cambridge College. And each and every day, I drove to those facilities knowing the kids I had home, knowing the work I had in front of me, and knowing the things I had to do for my community. That's the person you trust. Someone's working hard every day for you.
Yes, and it's not a bad point. I mean, there's an awful lot of school children in the city of Fall River. There's an awful lot of parents by definition. Kyle Riley has served on the school board in Fall River, has served on the city council in Fall River, and I think can draw upon a lot of contacts with a lot of people on the March 12th election. I think it's important to point out, Paul, that you can get elected with 27% of the vote. So, each one of them has their own constituency, and each one of them will be looking to pull them out on election day.
Well, let's talk about the mayor because we've talked about some of his critics, but I'll tell you, as you said, right, you see him on stage there. He happened to have a position in the middle of the stage. Even though he's a young gentleman, he speaks so fluently, he speaks so articulately, and the advantage of incumbency has all the facts and figures at hand, and he seemed to have a feel for commanding the stage.
Paul, if you had just landed at the Morton Middle School from the planet Mars and you didn't know any of the participants, you would have picked Jason Correa as the incumbent mayor.
This administration has taken the city to a new height in fiscal responsibility.
I had him controlling the stage. I had him winning the debate.
I got to tell you, I've been in broadcasting most of my life. I've been an attorney most of my life. I'm now in my 50s. It took a long time for me to get comfortable being on the air. It got a long time for me to be comfortable in a court, which now I can walk into a court and I'm not nervous at all. I'm comfortable going on the air. But when I was 27, 28 years old, there's no way that I could perform the way Jazel does. He's got a lot of talent for somebody his age. You can't help but be impressed.
Paul, if no one's told you, your clients are nervous when you go to court. You may not be nervous. On a serious note, you're right. Mayor Correa is the mayor of Fall River. He dresses like the mayor. He talks like the mayor. He acts like the mayor. And on the debate earlier this week, he was the mayor.
And they had to trust me to say, yes, we can responsibly get rid of this fee, but you're not going to lose anything.
Well, public safety is always a big issue in these debates. And I know the mayor was happy to be able to say that he contends that he's done well in terms of adding officers onto the force to try to make Fall River a safer city.
I think the best two comments of the night were made by City Councilor Joe Camara, who said that unless you have a safe city, nothing else really matters.
More police presence in crime area, target the area where we know there's a lot of crime, go there as we have done in the past.
And Jason Correa, who mentioned that in the last three mayors, the conversation was all about how many layoffs will there be in the police department. And during his administration, the conversation is how many more police officers will we add to the force.
The prior conversation in previous debates on the last three mayors prior to me was not how many more cops are we going to put on the street. It was how many we're going to keep, because we're going to have to issue pink slips and layoffs to our firefighters and police officers. That's deplorable. That's a black cloud over this city. When you can't even keep enough cops on the streets, that's a problem. And that's because of fiscal irresponsibility.
Any closing thoughts about what you thought about the whole event and so forth?
Well, I thought it was well attended. I thought it was well run. You asked me to rate the candidates. I thought both Paul Coogan and Joe Camara did well.
Riley and I served on the city council together. He voted for me to be president of the council. The mayor and I served on the council together. He voted for me to be president of the council. Mr. Coogan hasn't run for city council yet, but when he does, I'm sure he'll vote for me to be president of the council as well. I've had an excellent working relationship with everybody. I'm not here to put people down. I want to build bridges. I don't want to fight with people over no reason.
When I was criticizing the mayor for his attendance, it was because he doesn't show up at all. He hasn't been to one building meeting, and I know what it's like for him. He should be able to come in, spend a half hour, get the lay of the land, and ask us later what went on. That's fair. I don't expect him to sit there. Some of those meetings we're at go an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and I know he has a ton of responsibilities. As far as missing the school committee meetings, if he's got those kind of conflicts, as he said, he sets the schedule. We're more than accommodating to work with him if he can't make it, but it is important that he be there because he is the chairman.
I thought Kyle Riley did okay.
As we put officers in, we need to make sure that we are allocating overtime, we are talking to our neighborhood groups, we are making the small steps that give us feedback on a regular basis that helps community policing as we go through those steps prior to adding officers.
I thought for a first-time candidate, Edith Scott Pacheco did okay.
I will get rid of the special assistant. I do not need a special assistant. Jazel Correa needed one and made a special assistant position.
But the gentleman who commanded the stage, the gentleman who commanded the debate, was the incumbent mayor.
$7 million in stabilization funds. Continued increases to our public safety departments. We're going to increase overtime. And we're going to get 12 cars on the street.
All right, and you heard it here from longtime political analyst Tom Hunt. Now, before we go, because we're both New Bedford guys, there's an election coming up in the fall, actually, in both cities, but we're going to focus on New Bedford for a moment. You know, John Mitchell won't say whether he's running or not, but I don't know. To me, it kind of feels like he is. You say what?
John Mitchell has told me personally that he's leaning towards running for re-election. I think we both know politicians well enough to say when they are leaning, they are really running.
Tom, thanks a lot for stopping by. It's always fascinating to look at any political situation, but the one that's happening in Fall River, our sister city, is very fascinating. Hopefully people will participate, like you said, and we hope to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you very much, Paul. Pleasure being here.